All right, buckle up, everyone, because get this.
Okay.
You sent us source material for a show called Battle for Blackpool Tower.
Oh, wow.
And apparently all the contestants are, well, objects. We're
Object.
talking scripts, episode summaries, like the whole thing.
Fascinating. You know, object shows are a really interesting part of animation.
Really?
Yeah, they've built up this huge following online, and people love them for their quirky humor and how complex the stories can get, actually. Even though this is a fictional competition, I think there's a lot we can learn about storytelling, character dynamics, and maybe even a bit about British culture, too, since that's where it takes place.
Okay, so let's break down.
Yeah.
So 66 contestants.
Okay.
They're all, like we said, objects, and they're fighting for the grand prize, which is
Blackpool Tower.
Blackpool Tower. We're talking everything from like a pencil with attitude to a black hole who's super deep, literally.
Yeah, right.
And the challenges are just as crazy. Musical chairs 1 minute, building these mile-high pies the next. Our sources kind of jump around in time, but we'll piece it together.
You know, one thing that stands out right away is how alliances are always shifting. Early on, you see Pencil, Match, Bubble, and Ruby teaming up, but their dynamic is, well, it's messy.
Yeah, total roller coaster. Sometimes they're strong leaders. Other times they're falling apart with all these betrayals and power struggles.
Right.
Reminds me of like those classic reality shows where you never know who's going to stab who in the back.
Exactly. It's a reflection of what we see in real life, too, you know? Like, think about when you have to work with others, you got to build trust, figure out everyone's personalities, and there's always that conflict when everyone wants the same thing. And Battle for Blackpool Tower, it just takes all that to a whole new level of crazy.
Speaking of crazy, the power struggles are intense.
Oh, yeah.
At first, Golf Ball is the leader.
Makes sense.
She's strategic, organized, but also kind of bossy, which rubs some contestants the wrong way.
Yeah.
And then Basketball challenges her leadership.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, he's more chill, more charismatic, you know. And that clash leads to, well, a shocking ending. Golf Ball kills Basketball.
Oh.
Yeah, and takes back control. So now we got to ask, is she just ruthless, or is she a product of this system that rewards people who do whatever it takes to win?
That's a good question. It makes you think about ambition and where the line is between strategy and being ruthless.
Yeah.
And it's not just her. This idea of morality comes up with other characters, too, like Tree, who can't seem to control his teammate, Pillow.
Oh, Pillow. We could do a whole deep dive on her alone, I think.
But
let's step back for a second and look at the competition itself.
Okay.
The challenges are this crazy mix of normal and totally bizarre. One episode, they're playing musical chairs. The next, they're off to paint murals in different British cities.
Wow.
Right. It's like they're keeping everyone, contestants and viewers, guessing what's next.
And it shows how important it is to adapt and work together when things are unpredictable.
For sure.
And then there's Laotian, the host.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
He seems like this cheerful, kind of quirky British guy, loves Quentin Tarantino, and always seems to be hungry.
Always.
But is there something more to him?
Like what?
Well, there are these hints in the source material that point to a darker side, you know? His food obsession, the weird things he says, how much he seems to enjoy when the contestants are struggling. It makes you wonder if he's really a good guy or he actually likes the chaos.
It's like he's the Willy Wonka of this crazy object world. With a twinkle in his eye, but maybe a little mischief too.
I like that.
And speaking of mischief, there are some moments that just capture that perfect mix of funny and strange that the show does so well.
Like what?
Like, remember when Pin tries to drink Coke?
Oh, yeah, and it stings her tongue.
Ouch!
That's classic object show humor right there.
Yeah.
Taking something totally normal and making it hilarious and unexpected.
And then there's Ruby Supervan, right?
Oh, yeah.
Disappears, then pops back up as a reward. Like, what?
It's like the show has its own set of rules.
Totally.
Yeah.
And we can't forget Rocky. His vomit plays a surprisingly big role in all this.
I mean, it's gross, but so funny.
It really is.
And it's such a great example of how the show embraces the unexpected.
Right. These moments aren't just for laughs.
No, they're not.
They show how the show breaks the rules of how stories are supposed to be told and just leans into the chaos of, well, everything.
And then there's that huge explosion.
Oh, yeah. Wipes out 2 whole teams just like that.
Boom.
Really raises the stakes. Reminds you that no one's safe in this game.
Yeah, you're right.
And speaking of not being safe, we find out early on that when you're eliminated, you go to this place called Ready to Learn.
Ready to learn.
Right, like a weird mix of school and waiting room.
Interesting.
And it comes up more than once.
Hmm.
Like pencil and marker, they seem to know it pretty well.
Mm.
Which makes you think maybe there have been other seasons. Maybe this whole thing's been going on longer than we know.
Wait, so there could be even more to this whole thing?
It keeps getting deeper, right?
Yeah.
And it's not like those eliminated contestants are just sitting around twiddling their thumbs.
Really?
There are hints that something's brewing, like maybe a rebellion.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the source material mentions these failed debuters, led by this mysterious non-existee, plotting revenge from a care home.
So even outside the game, there's this desire for recognition and the pain of losing.
Right, it's not just about winning Blackpool Tower anymore.
Wow.
It's about proving yourself, even when the system's against you.
That's deep.
And these failed debuters look like they're willing to do whatever it takes to get a second chance.
This is getting intense. These failed debuters, they're not messing around.
No, they're not.
They want revenge, and they want to shake things up for the contestants still in the game.
Yeah, and their leader, non-existent. What a character, right?
Yeah.
We don't actually see them in the episodes we have.
Right.
But you can feel their presence.
You cannot.
Like a puppet master working from the shadows.
That invisibility, it just makes them even more mysterious, even scarier.
It does. And it makes you think about power, right? Like, how can someone who literally doesn't exist still have so much control?
That's a good point.
It's like they represent all the people who get ignored, the ones who get left behind.
Yeah.
And their anger. Oh, you can feel it. Speaking of anger, have we even talked about Pillow yet?
Oh, Pillow.
She's a whole other story, right?
She is something else. On the surface, she seems harmless enough, all fluffy and cute.
Right.
Underneath, she's got this fascination with death and violence. It's a little disturbing.
It's like the show is using her to explore that dark side we all have. You know,
Oh, see that?
this cuddly object that's also terrifying.
And her teammates, it's like they love her and hate her at the same time.
Totally.
They know she can be useful in challenges, but they're always worried she's going to snap.
And she does snap. In one episode, she goes on a full-on killing spree.
What?
Takes out Gelatin, Taco, Bracelety, even Yellowface.
No way.
It's brutal. And the other contestants have to face the fact that she's dangerous, like really dangerous.
That raises a good question, even outside of this show. How do you deal with people who do bad things, even if they have some good qualities?
Yeah, it's a tough one. And the show doesn't give us easy answers.
No.
But it shows how hard it is to keep things under control when everyone's competing.
That's true.
And speaking of competition, the show throws another curveball at the contestants.
Oh, what's that?
They have to form new teams.
Yeah.
After that explosion, the ones left get shuffled into 5 new teams.
Okay.
7 contestants per team.
Got it.
And the names they come up with, oh man, some of them were wild. Life Pact, Better, 301, Ring, and then there's this gem, WOAH. Bunch, no objectors.
What?
Right. It's like they're making fun of how seriously everyone takes the competition.
Yeah. Like, hey, they're fighting for a tower, but let's not forget to have fun.
Exactly. And a lot of the challenges have that same playful vibe.
Like what?
Well, there's one where they have to dress up a teammate.
Oh, I remember that.
We see Bottle turned into this fashion nightmare, and Robot Flower ends up looking like a disco ball.
So fun.
Pure visual comedy, right?
Yeah.
It shows they're not afraid to be silly.
Yeah, I like that.
But even with all the fun and chaos, the threat of the eliminated contestants is always there.
Right.
They're watching from their care home, and they're not just watching, they're planning.
Still plot.
Non-existee is still in charge, pulling all the strings.
And then non-existee approaches Laotian with a proposition.
Oh, this is good.
Let 2 of the eliminated contestants back into the game.
No way.
Oh.
That's got to freak out the contestants who are still in.
For sure.
And we see these failed debuters. They're desperate for another shot. We meet 9-Ball, Anchor, Avocado, Blender, each one of them unique, with their own skills.
It's great.
There's even this moment where Conch Shell clears up their gender identity, which was confusing in earlier seasons.
I like how the creators listened to the fans and made things more inclusive.
Me too.
And
It shows how storytelling can change and adapt, even in a fictional world.
it gives these characters more depth. They're not just objects anymore. They represent who we are as people.
Right. So while these auditions are happening, the current contestants are still competing,
They are.
and the challenges get harder and harder. There's a nighttime relay race, a balancing beam challenge where Flower goes nuts, and then there's the challenge with those fuseless bombs that keep exploding.
Those bombs were crazy.
I know, right? It's like the challenges are getting tougher because the stakes are higher.
Makes sense.
It's not enough to be good at stuff anymore.
Right.
You need teamwork, strategy, and you got to think on your feet.
That's true.
Oh, and get this. We find out those fuseless bombs were actually designed by Golf Ball.
Wait, really?
Yeah, back when she was a contestant in a previous season.
Wow. Talk about your past coming back to haunt you.
Right. Even the smartest people make mistakes. And sometimes those mistakes come back to bite you.
That's deep.
And as we get closer to the end, two teams are in danger of being eliminated.
Which ones?
Ring, led by Baloney, and Life Pact, with Tree in charge.
Oh, man.
It's down to the wire, and the viewers' votes will decide who stays and who goes.
It's like a classic reality show cliffhanger.
I know, right? We're dying to know who makes it and who goes back to Ready to Learn.
But wait, there's another twist coming.
Oh no, what now? So we left off with Ring and Life Pact, right on the edge of elimination.
Yeah, things weren't looking good for them.
But then, those failed debuters, they pull a fast one.
Oh, yeah, they're not giving up.
They go to Laotian, practically begging for another shot.
Makes sense. Everyone wants a second chance.
And it really shows how much people crave redemption, you know,
Yeah.
even when the odds are stacked against you.
Absolutely.
And Laotian, well, he loves a good twist.
He does.
He agrees to let two of them back in, but
There's always a but.
there's a catch. They got to audition.
Of course. It's like a mini competition within the competition.
Right. Each failed debut has to show off what makes them special.
It's great. You see them laying it all out there. Talents, personalities, everything.
We got 9-ball, all about strategy and brains.
Ooh.
Then there's Anchor shouting, "Anchors away!" like a madman. Avocado's talking up his Mexican heritage.
Yeah.
And Blender, well, he whips up a batch of explosive blueberries.
Explosive blueberries. That's
Well,
got to be a first.
Only on this show, right? It shows how creative the creators are, how they find humor in the craziest places.
Yeah, and it's not just about the laughs.
Yeah.
You see these characters' vulnerabilities too, their hopes and fears.
Like that moment with Conch Shell, right?
Yeah, where they clarify their gender identity.
It shows that the creators are listening to the fans and making the show more inclusive.
It's great to see.
And it makes these characters even more relatable. You know, they're not just objects, they're like us in a way.
Exactly. So with all these auditions happening, everyone's waiting to see who Laotian picks.
Right. Will it be 9-ball, Mr. Brains? Or maybe Anchor?
Sure.
With all that energy? Or could Non-Existy somehow pull some strings from behind the scenes?
The suspense is killing me.
I know. It reminds me of how unpredictable real life can be, you know?
Oh, yeah.
You never know when you'll get a second chance or what'll happen next.
And just when you think you've got it all figured out, bam! Another twist.
Remember that film challenge?
The one where they had to make short movies?
Yeah, it turns out the winners, WOH bunch, no objectors, they get more than just immunity.
No way. What else do they get?
They get to pick one of the failed debuters to join their team.
Wow, that changes everything. Now it's not just about individual skills, it's about team dynamics and who you align with.
Exactly. And who they pick?
Spill it.
They pick Pillow,
Pillow. Are you serious? The queen of chaos.
the one and only. It's a risky move, but hey, sometimes you got to embrace the crazy to win, right?
It's true. Sometimes the biggest risks lead to the biggest rewards.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Battle for Blackpool Tower, we're left with more questions than answers.
I know, right? Who's going to win it all?
What other crazy stuff will these characters get up to?
What can we learn from their journey, you know?
This show, it's more than just a competition with talking objects.
Yes.
It says something about us, about human nature.
We see ambition, betrayal, loyalty, the need to be seen and recognized.
And even with all the absurdity, there's real emotion, real growth.
And sometimes these amazing moments of kindness and grace.
That makes you think, why are we so drawn to these stories? You know?
Yeah, why do we love watching people, even if they're objects, fight for something?
Maybe because we see ourselves in them, in their struggles and triumphs.
Maybe we learn something about ourselves along the way.
That's a great takeaway, I think.
It is.
We've explored the chaos, the laughs, the unexpected depth of Battle for Blackpool Tower.
We have.
But now, we got to ask you, the listener, a question.
Okay.
If you were a contestant on this show, what object would you be?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is, right?
Right.
And what would your strategy be to win Blackpool Tower?
Something to think about for sure.
So as you head back out into the world, remember, it's just as crazy and fascinating as this show. And maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of object show contestant in all of us.